What's up everyone, it's Tube and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y top 5 video. Even though X and Y were amazing games with a completely new look including newer graphics and expansions, fans often complained that as incredible as X and Y were, they were lacking a lot, especially in the post game. So in today's video, we're gonna look at the top 5 things I think X and Y should have included that would easily add on to the hype of the game. This list does start off slow, but it gets a lot more epic near the end, so stay tuned. Starting off more technical is about a system newly introduced in Pokemon X and Y, Wonder Trading. Wonder Trading is a revolutionary system, but with flaws and inequality in the system, it isn't used as much as people used to use it when the game first came out. Contributing as low as a Scatterbug may reward you with a much better Pokemon, but on the other side of that trade, contributing some of your favorite Pokemon gave you a Scatterbug in return. I feel this created a revolutionary but unfair and flawed system in a game Game Freak wanted to be essentially perfect, and there was no reason for someone to want to trade anything of worth as it counted as the same as anything else. So coming in at number 5 is Wonder Trading tiers. As technical and unneeded as it may sound, Wonder Trading should have had a rating system. Lower tiers would include easy to get Pokemon like Scatterbug, and higher tiers would include more exclusive and harder to get Pokemon. Not only can they take rarity into account, but also levels, IVs, EVs, and whether it's shiny or not. With this addition, players will be more satisfied with their reasonable rewards, and those trolls won't be able to corrupt Wonder Trade with their Scatterbugs. When Pokemon X and Y was first announced in early 2013, and we first saw the starters and the mysterious X and Y legends, the amount of hype that surfaced in the Pokemon community was amazing. One of the greatest parts about them introducing a new generation was the thought that from that point on, there would be more than 649 Pokemon to learn about. As much as I sound like Professor Oak, it's true. But a few weeks before X and Y's release, while leakers and trolls were at their peak, rumors about X and Y were spreading, one of the more interesting ones being that X and Y would only introduce around 70 new Pokemon, which actually turned out to be true after the game's release. It was disappointing to fans that there were only 69 plus 3 new Pokemon introduced in a generation, so that's why coming in at number 4 is more Pokemon. By the time you've gone to the Elite 4 in X and Y, you've seen or had the chance to see almost all available 69 Pokemon, and once you beat the game, there are almost no more to find. There were so little Pokemon that they had to mix in a huge amount of Pokemon from other generations just to give you a variety. Just like how your Pokédex is upgraded a few times during the game, with the Central, Coastal, and Mountain Pokédexes, they should have given you another upgrade after you beat the game to allow you to find more Pokemon. In conjunction with more Pokemon, coming in at number 3 is more areas and more to the storyline. Being able to unlock many new areas after defeating the Elite 4 always adds to the experience. As a kid, the Sevii Islands in Fire Red and Leaf Green interested me so much, and even though I wasn't into catching them all, I enjoyed exploring and finding Team Rocket there, and I felt like those extra hours of gameplay turned into months of fun. Like I said earlier, imagine getting a final Pokédex upgrade after defeating the Elite 4 in Pokemon X and Y, and being introduced to a new area. There's definitely potential in that. With the story ending after Team Flare's defeat, the post-game lacked content and people exclude the small events that would take place like the Looker missions. If they included a bit more in the post-game, it would add a lot more to the game. Although, the quick closure to the story may be so to allow it to be continued in the sister games of X and Y, possibly Pokemon Z. With the lack of the post-game, the only thing left to do after beating the game is to catch them all and test your team against others, and with the introduction to the battle spot, Wi-Fi battling has become more common and more fun. But there wasn't too much you could do to prepare your team and level up. Looking at the game from a perspective as someone who plays the game without Pokegening, it's much more difficult like the pre-Pokebank days, so that's why coming in at number 2 is trainer rematches. By rematches, I mean a lot more. Not only do I mean the Elite 4 and Champion, but also gym leaders and other trainers. They could have given you access to the Verse Seeker after beating the game and allow you to rebattle the trainers around the region. By forcing you to beat the Elite 4 before getting to the rematching system, they can make these trainers a lot stronger. The trainers that you saw in the beginning of the game can have level 50 plus Pokemon and give you more opportunities to train and enjoy the game. On another end, they could have made the gym leaders contact you randomly for a rematch with much stronger Pokemon. Pokemon. And finally, they could have given the Elite Four a huge buff for you to have something to train for and train with. Imagine entering the Pokemon League a second time and facing the Elite Four again. They could give them around level 70 Pokemon and give every Elite Four member a Mega Evolution. Malva could have a Mega Houndoom, Wigstrom could have a Mega Scizor, Shrasna could have a Mega Garchomp, and Seabolt could have a Mega Gyarados. Like everything else, it could have added to the game and given players something higher to aim towards when training their Pokemon. And finally, Pokemon X and Y should have added an ultimate goal. In Generation 2, it was a mysterious trainer at the peak of Mount Silver. In Generation 3, it was the former champion deep in Meteor Falls. And in Generation 5, it was Cynthia in a house. That's right, coming in at number 5 is a Super Boss. A Super Boss would give players that one thing to aim towards, an in-game reason to train your Pokemon and perfect your team. Here's an example of what they could have done. In the same way that many characters made an appearance in X and Y, imagine Red also returned as the Super Boss in the game. Generation 6 had a large focus on reintroducing and bringing attention back to the first generation games, and we all thought Game Freak would have had a battle against Red in the pre-X and Y days. Not only does this fit the theme that X and Y followed, but they could have incorporated elements from Generation 6 as well. They could have maintained his basic team from Gold and Silver while adding twists that Generation 6 introduced. He could have had new Generation 6 items like the Assault Vest, the new Fairy typing, Mega Evolutions, and more. The possibilities were endless. His Charizard could have Mega Evolved to the opposite version of the game you're playing, and he could have had his own Pikachu like how AZ had his own Floette with better stats. And with the Light Ball, his Pikachu can become an actual threat and not just a symbol on his team. X and Y definitely should have had a Super Boss, but you never know, maybe they're saving these ideas for the next game. With the potential that lies in X and Y, there's a lot more Game Freak missed out on that realistically speaking could have been in the game, from perfecting Wonder Trade to adding a lot more Pokemon areas and story, to rematches and a final destination. But Game Freak isn't stupid. There's a reason they decided to make X and Y the way they did, and only time will tell. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. Let me know what you think should have been in X and Y, and let me know what you think about my list. I'm getting around to working on the top 5 Sinnoh Pokemon that deserve to Mega Evolve, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out.